Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Echo. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it free on itch.io, but they have a Patreon for other games. So, on the last Let's Play, we went through the records and saw some interesting pictures from, like, the smoke room. I wonder if what was the timeline between the smoke room and this game being made? Like, I know that this game came before the smoke room, especially because the UI seems like super old comparatively. But like, it's interesting to see William and Cliff and a reference to Sam in the previous. Was this It was Jenna's route. Yeah, and just like, interesting stuff. And yeah, past stuff. But then, yeah, we are going back to Flint's place, I guess. So we're gonna reset our face. And darn it, I forgot to title the last video. I'm gonna have to remember that. Anyways, and start. Dude, that's skeevy. After that, she just walked back to her office and shut the door, like almost slamming it. Maybe she's not a fan of your queer types. Carl puts on a southern drawl for that last bit. I step out of the car and pop the trunk, moving to gather up my equipment. Yeah, she was also acting a bit weird. Like, are you gonna keep him company? Also, you got a boy in your car. Mm-hmm. The sun is starting to get pretty low at this point. There's not really any tall mountains to the east, so sunsets tend to last a while. What? There's not really any tall mountains to the east, so sunsets tend to last. But sunsets in the west, wouldn't that? I don't know. Maybe? But she seemed alright to Flynn. He's colored differently. That's interesting. Also looks a slightly higher res, maybe? Carl follows suit, though his eyes are still glued to his phone. I can't get over the whole "there's a boy in your car" bit. Yeah, she seemed kinda, I don't know, weirded out by me or something. But she wasn't like that when we met. She was pretty cordial then. As I shut the trunk, I spy Flynn's truck parked behind the house, as well as what looks like a faded yellow moped. I'm assuming that one's is his roommate's. Huh. The Ram shrugs. You are kinda weird. Maybe you did that staring thing you do sometimes. I blink. The what? Never mind, man. You stare with your eyes. I frown. Carl looks up from his phone long enough to catch my expression. I'm just kidding. Just making fun of Flynn's whole dressing you down back at the river. Carl smirks. His eyes are no longer glazed over, and it actually feels like he's looking at me rather than 1,000 miles away. We make our way up to the front door, Colin tapping away at a screen. Hard to imagine my house was even bigger back in the day, though. My parents already have more rooms than they know what to do with. Like, we got 3 spare bedrooms, right? But we never have any guests or anything, so they don't get used and just gather dust and stuff. Do your parents make you clean them? Carl rose his shoulders, idly wiping his hooves upon the rough fiber floor welcome mat. Sometimes. Knowing Carl, that means pretty much never. Once inside, the familiar hot, stuffy climate hits like a wool blanket thrown around me. What sounds like some sort of lo-fi hip-hop is playing in the background, from what I assume is Daxton's room. The interior is dimly lit, with the exception of a bright, white light coming from the ajar fridge. Daxton stands next to it, holding a block of pale cheese. Is this what you need? The salamander seems to be peering at us expectantly. No? He raises a brow ridge, craning his neck to look past us. Talking to Flynn. The guileless, large self steps out of the laundry room, beside us, looking at Daxton. Oh, sorry. Carl gives me a sidelong smirk. That's provolone. The recipe needs Havarti? I've never heard of that. Flynn steps past us without much acknowledgement, moving the kitchen besides Daxton. We have a block of Havarti, but it's in the freezer. There's this thing called defrost setting on the microwave. Does that actually ever really work? Yeah, but you left the fish you caught on top of it. The pack is sealed. That shouldn't matter. The whole freezer kind of reeks. Like I said, the package is sealed. That shouldn't matter. With a shrug to Carl, I move in and set my equipment down next to the kitchen island. I take a seat on one of the wicker-top bar stools. Carl lingers in the doorway a bit before moving to sit on the stool next to mine. Now that I think of it, the only two people Flynn hasn't banged are TJ and Jenna. Supposedly. Flynn wordlessly goes to the fridge and grabs 2 bottles of light beer, popping the tops and setting them down in front of us. Thanks. I'm not 21 yet legally, you know? Flynn shrugs uncaringly before getting a beer for himself. Looking around, the countertops aren't pretty free of clutter beyond some Meseta Community College letters and a heavily used black notebook. The notebook is labeled World Building and Fictional History 204. A few water stains have shriveled the pages of the edges. Daxton places the provolone back in the fridge and places the allegedly fishy Havarti on the plaster cutting board. Meanwhile, Flynn is now at the sink, washing vegetables. Daxton grabs a small knife and finally glances back at me. Welcome back, Chase. I wave a bit limp-wristedly. Hey. He smiles, then shifts his gaze to Carl. The Ram looks up from his phone, a little apprehensively. And hey, I haven't seen you before, but I forgot. No, wait, I've seen you before, but I forgot your name. Sam's something? Carl. He enters, his voice quiet. Oh. Well, good to meet you. Usually, you're kind of in and out of here real quick, when you do come by. Carl shrugs. Yeah, same. The Ram's gaze flicks back to his phone, Carl typing something. Daxton frowns slightly before shifting his focus back to the cheese cutting. Looking over, it looks like he's texting. The contents of said message being XJKHK. I know he's bottoming. Hey, Carl? Hey, Carl. Flynn looks over his shoulder, scrubbing out what looks like a cucumber. You got your outfit picked out for the interview on Saturday? Yep. Wait, what? Carl, you have a job interview? Yep. I found myself smiling a bit. Carl didn't tell me about that at all. I'm surprised he didn't mention it earlier. Well, hopefully it'll go better in this route than it did in the last route, where he walked in, was in there shortly, came outside, and threw up in an alleyway. That's great. Where at? Carl stops typing, his lips pulling a bit tighter around the edge of his muzzle. It's in Peyton print and design. I'd be printing copies and making people posters. Oh, the print shop up by the mall? I know that. What do they pay? Minimum wage. Not that it matters, though. Daxton looks slightly confused. I turn to him. Carl's parents are pretty well off. Flynn stops doing what he's doing, going to the fridge, and taking out a box of strawberry popsicles. He drops it down on the counter side beside Daxton. The salamander startling some, looking to Flynn, then the box. Flynn points to the Hen's ice cream label above the logo of the weather vane with a chicken on it. Carl's parents' company. Daxton lets out an astonished huff, looking for some sign of a fib on Flynn's muzzle. No way. I'm the ice cream boy. Daxton blinks, seemingly to look at Carl in a new light. That's really cool. Carl looks off to the side, then back to Daxton. Glad you think so, I guess. Flynn takes the popsicles back to the freezer, returning to his station at the sink. Just make sure the clothes you got all fucking fit right. Can't remember the last time I saw you dressed up. It fits, dude. My parents drag me to all sorts of black tie event stuff, where I have to stand around and lie about my career goals. You haven't done that in ages. I went to a charity gala thing 2 years ago. You mean 20 pounds ago. Most of it muscle. I'm not calling you fat, lard ass. I'm saying that when it comes time for the interview, and you come in with a hoodie and cargo pants, they're gonna think you don't give a fuck. I mean, I kinda don't, you know? Oh, the fuck you don't. You really look forward to disappointing the shit out of your folks again? They're used to it. Jesus fucking Christ. Dax and I exchange an awkward glance. I'm half tempted to follow Carl's lead and start pretend texting. You worked at that freight warehouse for years and were miserable. Can't blame me for not looking forward to the same sort of thing. Heh. Carl feigns a raspy chuckle, though by the jittering of his hooves against the bar stool, it's apparent he's tense. And now I have my own house. I see his slitted gaze shift briefly to Daxton, who looks like he's concentrating very hard on the cheese cutting. Mostly, and print and design. It's basically working with all the same computer shit you do for your art crap. Seemingly to note on the opportunity of diffuse, Daxton chimes in. You're an artist, Carl? Shit, by like the loosest definition of the term, I guess. Flynn just rubs his temples some, shifting his attention back to cooking. He places the freshly washed vegetables into a metal pot on the stove with one of the streamer lid things on top. What kind of art? Oh, like fleshy porn, right? You know, instead of furry porn. You, don't seem like the oil-based pastoral type. Carl blinks. I hear Flynn grunt derisively, the clicking of the stovetop audible as he turns the nozzle on for gas. His heavy tail flicks behind him, lightly slapping the floor. I realize he's trying to get my attention, his eyes meeting mine, then moving to Daxton, and finally flicking to a textbook by the dishwasher. Art History 101, Historical Perspectives and Fundamentals. Glancing back, I think I see the corner of Flynn's mouth twitch up at me before he turns back around to his pot of veggies. It's still kind of weird seeing Flynn in a work outfit all the time. In high school, he was more of a jeans and jacket kind of guy. A southwestern rockabilly who didn't like rock and roll. His work slacks are pretty baggy and definitely hide the definition of his legs. Flynn's got a V-shaped physique though narrow calves but thicker thighs and a sizable rump. Ooh. When he bends forward a little, you can see the outline of it all. The lewd side of my mind is starting to wonder if he's doing it on purpose. But why would he, after what he said this morning? Pastorals? I'm not very good at backgrounds or anything. Portraiture then? Very snazzy stuff, that. The salamander smiles at Carl, showing his rounded cheeks. Carl just looks at him confused. Aside now is a good time to interject and spare Carl from Daxton's entry-level college art class inquiries. Carl draws pop culture character stuff mainly, I think. I haven't really checked out his portfolio profile for a while. Superheroes, comics, that sort of thing. It's really good stuff. It's not. He pauses, shifting his phone in his paws, akin to rolling putty. Since superhero movies became really popular, everyone draws that stuff now. Most better than me. It's kind of a dead-end style, I guess. Can't make any money from anything I make. Carl sounds more like he's quoting something rather than stating an actual opinion. Daxton raises a brow, nodding in acknowledgement. There's a pause. The only sound, the bubbling of the boiling water, and Daxton's knife hitting the plastic cutting board. Well, not if you draw them with their clothes off. The salamander tries to put on his most innocent face. It lasts for about 3 seconds before breaking into a wry smile at Carl's groaning, the ram taking a long swig of his spear. He's grinning too now, though. Everyone in the line tells me that, but I don't know, man. Maybe try to draw Chaos Wolverine's tits, or Wolverina's tits. They just look like big ass furry eyes stuck into her chest. Daxton laughs, and I find myself chittering a bit too. You could try drawing guys instead of women. You could try drawing guys instead of women are giving you if women are giving you too much trouble. You'd like that, wouldn't you, Chase? I don't like superhero stuff that much. Well, I wouldn't judge you if you did, Carl. I've written a few awkward sex scenes in my day. I have. You're a writer? That I am. At least trying to be. I'm taking creative writing courses at Meseta to get better. Mesa, not Meseta. The folks really wanted me to go into marketing like them, but I'm not really into it. That's lucky. I'm having to go into debt, so I'm not sure if I'm that lucky. Hopefully, one of the books I'm working on sells well. Most people don't read these days, which is kind of funny because it's like I hear that Zennials read more than other generations have. The salamander places the cut up cheese upon slices of rye bread, then puts the bread on a cooking tray, sighing as he looks to Flynn. Not everyone can suffice off coming home from work and staring at the wall for hours like you, Flynn. Some people like some degree of mental input, yeah? What? Wait, why did I go what? Flynn flicks the stovetop off, his eyes lowered and his brow ridge furrowed. Daxton passes him with the tray of Ray and Havarti sliding it into the oven. You call this shit, you right, mental input? The guy stops what he's doing, squinting at Daxton. Did you defrost the Havarti, or did you seriously just spend the past 15 minutes cutting into frozen blocks of cheese? This side of the house is like an oven with the hazmat running like this. The cheese warmed up on its own after a while at room temperature. Flynn throws up his hands, visibly exacerbated. It wouldn't have taken you 15 damn minutes to cut a few slices of cheese if you just defrosted it. Are you in a rush or something? What do you mean about him staring at the wall for hours? I thought that was a joke, but I'm wondering if that's when those echo weird things, or mental illness. They'll probably echo things. The salamander looks standoffish now, his arms crossed. My question seems to have been ignored. Might be. Daxton, what sort of stuff do you write? Surprisingly, Carl's the one to butt in this time. Daxton turns, getting out some plates. Mainly science fiction and fantasy. Adastra, right? Carl takes another drink of beer, rubbing his beard in thought. Sort of. I don't really watch it myself. It's that space exploration starship show from the 60s with the sexy aliens? No, that's Star Trek. Daxton snaps his fingers. Yes, that one. What? What? It would be kind of interesting to see the timeline of, all these things, but I guess in this universe, Adastra's an old 90s thing with sexy aliens. People draw a lot of porn of them. I mean, they do. Maybe not a lot, but still. I'm aware. Anyway, I used to watch it a lot with my little brother growing up. I got into this whole peace in the cosmos through science thing. Something fierce. The stories for each episode were based on real science. The salamander finishes, setting out the plates, bumping his fists together, and smiling a bit sheepishly. I'm taking a few physics and engineering courses at Mesa to try and better understand it all for my own writing. Makes sense. I also really like the whole diplomacy part. The ultimate goal of the first context was peace and learning. You don't really see that much anymore. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting, thing. I should have gone into Star Trek. I mean, I guess I could still do it, but it's like how, Star Wars is fighty, shooty, not particularly thinky things, while Star Trek is like, hey, diplomacy things. Also, people using the holodeck. Yep. Like, this one episode from Season 6 of Frontier is a really good example of that, and it really inspires a lot of what I'm writing in my story. My phone vibrates in my pocket. A message from Leo. Hey, you're not at the motel? A sort of sinking feeling takes hold of my chest. I can feel Flynn looking at me from over the counter as I type the reply. With Carl, Daxton, and Flynn about to eat dinner. When I look up again, Daxton is still chatting away to Carl about the Adastra episode, but I'm not really paying attention anymore. He's serving up the steamed vegetables and the fancy cheese bread, fresh from the oven. The bread looks a little burned around the edges, but maybe it's supposed to be that way? I mean, it is, I think. Of course you are. My fingers reflectively squeeze tighter on my phone. Flynn quietly walks around the counter, stepping behind me to look over my shoulder. At first, I think he's going to say something, but he doesn't. He's silent. With a sharp exhale, I begin typing my reply. We can all hang out tomorrow? Found some interesting stuff for my project at City Hall. Flynn makes a noise, though I can't really tell whether it's of encouragement or disapproval. Need to talk to you, one-on-one. I reply. What about? Lee responds almost instantly. You know exactly what. At this point, I realize Carl's looking over my screen as well. I'd call him and Flynn both out for being rude were it any other time. Daxton, meanwhile, looks at all of us with a concerned expression on his face. What's up? Don't worry about it. Carl and Flynn both look at me expectantly as my thumb hovers over the reply button. Should I even respond at this point? I have no clue how he would have found out about Flynn and I, if that truly were what he means. Neil never really been good at getting to his point across through text. He failed many an English class growing up. He always preferred to talk face to face, so maybe if I can be convincing enough in person, he won't be so worried? Or maybe I should just tell him the fucking truth. I hate this. I'm not even sure I did anything really wrong, but I can't help but feel like garbage. And now, my pseudo-infidelity lying game is becoming a spectacle. Aside, I might as well respond with at least a somewhat true response now. We bang? No? So, wait, was it that... Oh. He said no to, that thing. I shove my phone back in my pocket, and Flynn steps back. This is so fucking stupid. Carl just looks at Flynn with a flat expression. What? Carl shrugs. Like I said to Chase earlier, man, I won't say anything. Daxton quietly chews on his very crunchy cheese bread, licking this from the other side of the counter. Drama? Yep. He moves from my side to back over around the kitchen island, grabbing his plates of food and taking a big mouthful of broccoli. Yo, wanna watch some Adastra? The salamander slides awkwardly. smiles awkwardly, gesturing to the small living room area. I'm down. Carl holds up his bottle of beer before taking a swig. Chase? Flynn? I sigh. Usually, TV is a bit too passive for me when I'm trying to get my mind off stuff. Most often, I turn to video games instead. Still, Daxton seems pretty passionate about all this. I guess it can't hurt. Sure, though all I've seen about it are a few of the movies, I think. Oh, which ones? The ones with all the lens flare and chrome? Daxton looks as if a bad taste just settled in his palate. The Tommy brothers directed those ones. They tried too hard to be edgy and action-packed, completely ignored proper characterization. Like Lieutenant Gamokra firing the plasma emitter at the Forbeastian ambassador. She's completely non-violent in the original series. She took a vow of peaceful resolution following the violence cascade that destroyed her homeworld in the first season. But the writers just thought it would look cool for the trailers if they showed her disintegrating a guy while screaming her head off. I really like the thought-provoking psychological stuff, not the protagonist running around killing people. Daxton huffs, rubbing his fist against his smooth brow. I'm not sure exactly how to respond. Yeah, that's pretty not cool, brah. I mean, pretty not great when that happens. I like the space battles, though. Of course, they're made to appeal to the casual audience. I blink. Daxton quickly holds up his hands, his eyes widening. Oh, I didn't mean that as an insult or anything. No offense taken. I offer him a reassuring nod, taking a bite of the steamed vegetables. They certainly taste fresh. Flynn must have gotten these in Peyton. Daxton's sure having to deal with us flirty casuals tonight. Yes, Daxton's stuck having to deal with flirty casuals. Again, sorry, that's not what I meant. Oh, filthy casuals? Filthy casuals. I thought it was like flirty because we all banged. No, I know what you mean. You dig it because you grew up with the original shit, and you have all sorts of fuzzy feelings about it. I'm actually kind of surprised to hear Flynn chime in. Okay, I read that in a wrong inflection, but you know. Yeah, I mean, looking back, the original series is pretty dumb and cheesy. But it wasn't for you when you were a kid. Or the dirts who watched it back in the 60s. Yeah, dude. Back when we were kids, Leo's dad would get us a whole bunch of random VHS tapes from the thrift shop in Colville every now and then. Like really dumb kung fu movies or straight-to-video slasher flicks. It didn't even matter if they were R-rated. Sometimes, on summer nights, we'd gather at Leo's place and watch a bunch of them until almost morning. That's kind of the weird thing about like the 90s-esque kind, the 80s and 90s kind of thing, where it's like, they're like, here's Jaws, here's Freddy, or yeah, the guy with the hockey mask, or here's the Terminator. You know, basically R-rated movies because of like a whole bunch of violence and swearing and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, kids watch it, right? They watch Star Wars because like people die and that stuff. Sometimes really gruesomely. And it's like, do you have the kids watch it? And when I mean kids, I mean like older than 6 years old, I guess. Which thinking back of it on this day and age, just like, wow, that's kind of weird that, you know, the people that from that age is like, yeah, we'll have kids watch this. Especially since these days it's like those same people that are like, let's have kids watch this, or now like, we need to like prevent people from like watching violent stuff and video games. Anyways, my diatribe's over. Sometimes on summer nights, we'd gather at Leo's place and watch a bunch of them until almost morning. I already read that. They were all terrible. It was great. I'd find myself smiling a bit. I'd almost forgotten about all that. Oh geez. Flynn would always get super into them. He would yell at the screen every time the characters did something stupid. Carl chuckles into his paw, grinning toothfully at the Guyla. Oh man, you'd get so butthurt. You'd start stomping around and slamming Leo's cabinets until you got in trouble. Flynn looks off to the side. If lizards could blush, I'm almost certain he'd be doing so now. Whenever there was someone with a gun on screen, they never had any trigger discipline and completely held guns wrong. And every time, every movie, somebody was being chased by a serial killer or whatever, they completely forgot how to run. Oh yeah, you can't count how many times everyone tripped. You had a little notepad with your trip tally. Daxton looks almost tickled by this revelation about Flynn. It sounds hilarious. I wish I had friends like you guys growing up, so I could do that sort of thing. But definitely not Sydney, because he could be a modo. Flynn waves dismissively. It was alright. I remember we could never do it when TJ around. Titanic propaganda and all that, right? Yeah, it's fine, we're over time. I mean, the scene's not ended. But, reminds me, across the street from us, we lived a family that was, like, super religious. Like, they were quiverful people, I guess, because the wife either just had a child or was always pregnant. And I remember us being like, let's play this video game. My friends was like, no you shouldn't, because that guy is like Satan and he makes people do bad things. And it's like, okay. I remember like at some point he and the family, I guess, moved to like a farm somewhere or something. I don't know. Anyways, he would have been fine with it if we eased him into it. We would start him off with Bonfire Babes of Babylon. Carl nods sagely, sipping at the last bit of beer before getting up to retrieve another from the fridge. So Flynn, you wanna? Yeah, maybe. Daxton looks pretty elated. The amphibian's slightly chubby cheeks puffed out as he grins. I know some really schlocky episodes from the first few seasons of the original series. I'll put those on. Sounds good, dude. Daxton sets his plate down, fast walking to the TV in the living room. After a moment, Carl looks over at me. Nerd alert. Flynn goes to slide his now empty plate into the sink, slapping Carl on the back of his head as he passes. Fucking rich coming from you, neckbeard ass. Hey! I mean endearingly. Across the room, Daxton waves at us. Adastra! Hey, I think I got it. The internet is kinda slow out here, 'cause it's satellite, but suffices. Flynn meanders over, lounging on the left seat on the left side of the living room. His tall stature results in his legs hanging far over the edge, the lizard scratching his exposed chest with a yawn. He cranes his neck to look back at me and Carl. You two tits gonna sit all the way back there? Hold on, I'm coming. So what's up with the spooky music? Carl gave me a little nudge, and we both follow suit, beers in grasp. Looking at Flynn now, I realize that part of me wishes I could go over there and lay beside him. More particularly, I sit in the recliner. Particularly, I sit in the recliner at the center of the room, while Carl and Daxton take the other sofa. Okay, so this episode, Captain Amicus lands on our planet in the year 1968. He's looking for a technology to stop an uprising in the future, but... Dax, shut up. No spoilers, dude. Alright, fine. It's spooky. I think we might end it here. I don't know. It's a bit of a scene change. I do miss Adastra. Like, that's ending. Like, there's two furry visual novels that made me, like, Okay, this sound effects like really kind of stuff. Um, the two visual novels that made me tear up. It was one, Winds of Change, at the ending where the main character. I mean, it's been out for a while and I've done the Let's Play, but spoiler alert for the next 20, 30 seconds. I'll put a thing on screen just in case you haven't seen it, like right here, and I'll take it off when you see. So when the main character sacrifices herself and they slowly, the stuff, like you could hear it when I was doing it and being like really sad. Can we take it off? And the second one would be the end of Adastra, because it's like, I have none things, and just like, oh man, relationships and stuff like that, and my wolf husband and all that, and just, it was like, since I wasn't actually reading it out loud, I was clicking on it and doing my reactions to it. It was like I was able to do it quick, but it was also really tiring a bit because I was doing like so many episodes of that. But I was like, oh god, it's just, you know. Anyways, end of this Let's Play. So please comment, guys. I like comments. Tell me what you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and like seeing it grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out videos to help it grow. And please remember to spay or neuter your animals to help control the pet population. And until next, if you want to play this game, then it's available for free on itch.io. They also have a Patreon, but that's for like, other games. Like Adastra 2, Electric Boogaloo. And yeah, until next time, thanks, see ya.